Right, we're nearly at the end of the day, but it doesn't get any better than this. We have got a campaign that means so much to us as audiologists. So, not that I am one, but anyway. I'm going to welcome to the stage Stephen Wheatley from the Make Listening Safe campaign, who's going to tell us all about how we can get involved and what this means to us. World Health Organisation backed, am I right, Stephen? So please, could you welcome him to the stage, please? Stephen Wheatley, Make Listening Safe campaign.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much indeed for asking me to come and talk to you this afternoon. I'm going to spend approximately 15 minutes, maybe a little less, talking to you about the Make Listening Safe campaign. So, have you had a good day? Let's see if we can keep that going, shall we? So let's put some pace on it. Right, okay. So, let's make sure that's working. It is. Good. Okay, so what's the issue then? You probably don't need me to tell you this. We were designed 5 million years ago. We were given a pair of these to enable us to communicate with each other and to know that the saber-toothed tiger is over there rather than down there. That's what your ears are for, primarily. I know this is going to come as a terrible shock to you. It's not for 3 or 4 hours of electronic dance music while sitting on the tube or gaming. So what we're seeing is we're seeing the risk of people getting avoidable, permanent hearing loss much earlier in their lives than they might otherwise have done. So the World Health Organization ran a report in 2015. How many people in this room have seen that report or know of it? That's a spectacularly small number of people, considering that they are promoting auditory health. Okay, well, you can forget about the 2015 report, which suggested 1.1 billion people would be at risk of avoidable hearing loss, because they revamped it. And they're now forecasting that 2.5 billion people by 2050 will be at risk of avoidable hearing loss. So let's just dwell on that for a second. First of all, the population of the world then will be somewhere around 10 billion people if we keep on doing what we are doing in terms of growth. Avoidable hearing loss, we're talking about the average man or woman on the Clapham omnibus, normal hearers harming their hearing. This excludes those poor individuals who have hearing issues at birth or get it through ototoxicity or any of these other problems that challenge your hearing. So this is the normal man or woman who is a normal hearer who is overexposing their hearing to sound, probably unknowingly. So 2.5 billion people. So what have the WHO done about it? Well, the WHO, I have to say, I admire them on this one because they've done some very practical things. They've done 3 things effectively. The first one is they've introduced new safety standards for live events venues. So if you go to a big live outside event these days, have you seen these curved array speakers? Yeah? Okay, the idea is it makes the sound floor much more equal throughout the venue. I once saw AC/DC in a university gymnasium, and it was nuclear grade volume at the front, and it was awfully bloody loud at the back. So they've issued safety standards recommending that there are places in the venue where people can go to get away from the sound periodically. So you don't have to turn up and listen to 4 hours of it. You can go and listen to what you want and then take a break. And also protecting the people that work in those venues. Interestingly, in the UK, we have a very advanced organisation called NITA, the Nighttime Industries Association. And they have adopted these standards. They've had a tough time because of COVID, so they're not flush with money. They're not going to go and start rebuilding all their venues, but they are on a program to implement these standards. And you will see eventually this venue complies with branding at certain venues. So that's the first thing. Second thing is headphones. Headphones of themselves are probably not super loud, but they're ubiquitous. How many people here use headphones regularly? Okay. So what the World Health Organization have done is to catalyze some safety standards around headphones. And because they're the biggest single problem, we are promoting that, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that towards the end. And then, in addition to all of that, they've then initiated the Make Listening Safe campaign. So we're not run by the World Health Organization, but we were given the authority to take the messaging and go and do it. The idea is the World Health Organization is very complex, 194 members. If any of them objects to anything, it doesn't happen. So you can imagine how complex that might be to get anything to happen. So we work on the basis they initiated what we do, and we get told off occasionally if we do something that we shouldn't. So that's how it works. Okay, so what's the mission? The mission is to increase the awareness of the avoidable risks of hearing loss amongst those people between 10 and 40 years of age. I'm sorry for those of you who are over that age, and I'm well over that age, but if you're in that cohort, you've probably had one of these in your hand or in your pocket or in your handbag for most of your life since you were 13 or 14. So you're at significant risk. So the ambition that we have in the UK, because we're running the pilot, we are the pilot for the whole world here. We're trying the messaging, we're trying strategies and all the rest of it, is we want, by 2030, we want more than 50% of the target audience, the 10 to 40-year-olds, to be aware of the risks to their hearing and know what they can do about it. So that's our mission. Okay, so the campaign, the Make Listening Safe campaign, as I say, is being piloted here in the UK. It started in 2019. It's a pro bono campaign, so everybody who's working on it, me included, is doing it for nothing in addition to our day jobs. And we'll talk about some of the people who are involved before. Okay, what will happen is once we, in the near future, we're going to share what we've learned with other people around the world, and then they'll start initiating campaigns elsewhere. So the progress that's been made is we've basically recruited a number of followers and supporters, and I'll talk to you about that more specifically in a moment. What we're doing particularly is we are focused on, we talked about headphones a minute ago, we're focusing particularly on that as a theme. Because it's all free and there's so much messaging you could do, you could spread it far too thin. So we're focusing for the moment on increasing the awareness of the risks that are related to headphone use. Okay, so when we launched, we were fortunate enough to be given some funding by the UK Acoustics Network, for which we're grateful, and we were hosted by Guild Esports. I don't know how many of you know much about esports, but there are organisations which train young people to play esports, and then they own those people and they sell them like you would sell a footballer to a professional esports team. Strangely enough, this one's partly owned by David Beckham. Did that just change on its own? Oh, well, there you go. Well, you're right in the middle of that, aren't you? You in the middle of that one? Oh, there's one before, was it? I'll put you on the first slide. Good Lord. Right, okay. The mind of its own. In addition, we... let's go back there. Yeah. Yeah, you are. Don't tell anybody, but I increased the size of your logo in this particular slide. Always a good idea, slightly flatter the audience. So these are our supporters. We've got 45 supporters, and they vary from NHS England, who are supporting it, and NHS Digital. And then in the bottom left on this, you can see there's a list. They're mainly academics in the sphere of research into auditory issues. We're still recruiting more supporters, so if you would like to get involved as a supporter, then please contact me. Details will be towards the end of the deck. Right, there is another slide with another load of supporters on it. We've also got a team that's working on this. These organisations have done all of this for nothing. So, for example, Chocolate Films made a video of the launch event. It was a £10,000 or £15,000 expenditure. Didn't charge for it. That's their donation to this campaign. So, here we go. Last couple of minutes. How can you help? Firstly, we're looking for sponsors. We've come a long way on goodwill, but we now need some real money. And so we're starting to talk to organisations that might be interested in sponsoring this campaign. So if you are a potential sponsor, or you're interested, or you know of a sponsor, please let me know. I'd be very grateful for any introductions. Okay, if you've got your phones out, please photograph that slide, and please follow us on all of those social media sources. I've already posted about this event, and to Alex's point, have hashtagged and atted BSHAA. So please do follow us and like and retweet, because you're in a very, very influential place amongst your clients, patients. If you do something, you're their expert on hearing. So if you want to get that messaging out, or if you can get that messaging out, we'd really appreciate it. There's an opportunity. How many of you in here are under 40? That's rather surprising, and I think there's a few people not telling the truth. I am clearly not in the under 40 age group. Oh no, of course I'm not. So I'm exactly the wrong person to talk to people in that age group. We're looking for people who are in the 10 to 40 age group who are willing to help. What we'd like to do is we'd like you to think of the 5 things that you would tell your brother, sister, or your mates about looking after their hearing. And then we'd like you to make a little video, 10, 15 seconds, something like that. Send it to us. We'll repost it everywhere we possibly can. You can repost it with our logo. So if you think that that's a good idea, keep your cameras out, because you're going to need them again to get my contact details, which are on the end of this slide. So does anybody think they might like to do that? Good. Thank you. Well, that's one, isn't it? That's made it worth coming to Manchester. Okay. What else can you do? Right. As I explained, because we're doing this pro bono, we don't have lots of resource. We need to focus. And what we're focusing on is we're focusing on increasing the awareness of the risks of using headphones. Now, some of you may have Apple phones, and you may have AirPod Pros, or you may have Sony products, or you may have Google Pixel products. If you do, you're very fortunate, because those products already have hearing safeguarding features within them. Please use them. Go and have a look at the health features in your phone, and you'll see them there. We're calling on His Majesty's government to change the regulations and mandate smart hearing features in all headphones. Because we can go and talk to the 10 to 40-year-old age group and say, you need to be careful about how you expose yourself, how loud you listen, how long you listen, and the effects of that. The problem is, for lots of them, there's no information on their phone. And as we know, sound is very complicated. You know, having a logarithmic scale, for example, doesn't exactly help with the general population, does it? So, we're working on a campaign to ask the government to mandate smart hearing features in headphones. Please, if you photograph the QR code, please go to it, please sign the petition, and then please share it with others. We're up to about 550, 560 so far. Let's get some real traction behind this and get the government to change the regulations. And then we'll have an audience who can protect themselves. Okay, and finally, go on then. You won't be surprised to know it's World Hearing Day tomorrow. Okay, I looked at their messaging, and I thought there was quite a lot of good messaging that's going to be very, very supportive of you guys as audiologists. Yeah? So things like hearing loss is not just age-related. It can happen at any time. It's preventable in a lot of cases. Not all, but in a lot of cases, it is preventable. Sorry, I just looked out the window. My word. It's biblical. Hearing aids. a very worthwhile investment. I'm beginning to think that maybe BSHAA had some people in the WHO writing the messaging, to be fair. I don't blame you if you did. That's very good. And tinnitus being a warning sign of early onset of hearing damage. So I think there's a lot of really good messaging within World Hearing Day. And we, for our part, we've contacted a lot of press. We'll probably get some traction early, middle part of next week, because we're not quite on the theme. The prevention bit isn't this year's focus. It's more about making sure that people get the right access to hearing care. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Stephen Wheatley. There is one last slide, which if you photograph, it's got my contact details on it. I'd be very happy to receive emails, suggestions or ideas, and I'm done. Thank you very much indeed.